Not excited, intrigued.
Intrigued.
I'm intrigued what I've seen so far, but let's play some better teams and then we can talk.
Fair enough.
That's about as far as I can go. Is that fair enough?
Fair enough.
Mr. Gotta have a winner. It's going to happen. It's not going to happen. All right, not this year. The pitching's not there, my friend.
Well, I would agree with that. I would agree. Right now, it's not there. They got. Listen, I love Barreros. I'll tell you that. I love Barreros. Hopefully Gibson had E. coli, so cut him some slack. All right, he's going to gain his weight back.
That was like 4 months ago. E. coli shouldn't still be affecting him. And what did he eat, by the way? Who gets E. coli? I don't know, whatever. But, yeah, he got killed yesterday. Of course, he brought up the E. coli thing.
Of course he did.
Yeah. Okay, Gibby.
All right, Dave. It's a pleasure as always.
All right, sir.
We will talk to Dave next week. Yes, Russo is on next here. We'll get his thoughts on the Wild season and everything. But the Twins, 4-1. Watch out. This team is hot.
See ya.
We are joined by Michael Russo of The Athletic, as promised you guys today. Michael, I know it's weird. It's got to be weird because you've covered the Wild playoff, the last 6 years. Is it going to be weird not having to cover them, next week?
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, I was reading up on the draft lottery rules today, and I still don't even understand them. So,
oh my goodness.
Yeah. I mean, I've never had to pay attention to draft lottery, and or at least under these new rules in my life. So. Regardless, the Wild don't have great odds to even win the lottery, but everybody has a chance. But yeah, no, it is weird. I'm driving to the airport right now to go to Dallas with this feeling of like, why am I even bothering flying to Dallas?
Right.
Type thing. The game's totally meaningless. But look, they're just not a good enough team. They've been horrible at home all year long, and it was a fitting conclusion to their home slate. Against the Boston Bruins with another shutout loss there.
100%. Let's get into just the season in general. Where do you point to why this team couldn't put it together consistently? Was it the injuries? Was it the younger guys not playing up to par? What was it for you?
Well, I mean, it definitely was the injuries, which, again, is no excuse. There's all sorts of teams that have major injuries, but the Wild, for a team that always boasts about its depth, the loss of Koivu and the loss of Dumba killed the season. 9 of the Wild's 10 shutout losses came after Dumba was hurt.
Wow.
So I think for a lot of people that think that sometimes Dumba's mistakes that he makes defensively doesn't make up for the offense he brings, I think that if you look at it logically now, we're all wrong about that. He is an integral part of the Wild's offense, and their top 4D in particular is an integral part of the Wild's offense. Then again, you lose Koivu, and the Wild were completely incapable of shutting down other teams' top players the rest of the way. I mean, you saw it over and over again. Guys like Barkov light them up. They just couldn't check top players for the most part on a consistent basis. And that just shows as good as Eriksson Ek played down the stretch. He's not Mikko Koivu yet. And the other thing it did was it really hurt Eric Staal. I mean, Eric never had to play the hard minutes before Mikko's injury. Eric always was out against third-line centers and things like that. And now all of a sudden he had to defend a lot more, and I think it took its toll on him because he looks like he got old very quickly right now. So I think that's a huge reason. And then obviously then you start fiddling with the depth, and you trade 3-4 guys with Niederreiter, Granlund, and Coyle. You get what you get from that. And then the other thing that to me was the turning point of the season was the Pitino pickup. And this isn't to bash on Pitino, but all of a sudden you started playing head games with Nick Sealer. You forced Bruce to change up all the lines because I don't know if Paul wasn't aware, but he couldn't bring up Cunnin and Eriksson Ek, who was playing great in January. Couldn't bring him up right after the break again. It just made absolutely no sense to me, and I just felt like a GM shooting from the hip and didn't know exactly what the repercussions of that pickup would do. it made no sense after the Brad Hunt pickup to go pick up Pitino, and it completely changed everything about the season.
Right, that's good. That's a good point. What was there a game for you this year where, for me, it was the Devils game when they're up 4-1 and they end up losing in overtime. I just kind of told myself, okay, this team, they don't have it this year. Was there a moment earlier than that? I know we kind of talked before, and you've said it the last few years. You were kind of weary of the Wild, and they always ended up sneaking in. Was there a moment this year where you said this team just doesn't have it?
Well, I think just all throughout February, you come back to these games against where their schedule is soft, and you're just, as you said, blowing games against the Flyers, blowing games against the Devils. Earlier this season at home, they blew a game against Arizona. You just can't, those things come back and haunt you. And if you look at it, I mean, the Wild are going to wind up missing the playoffs, somewhat barely. And those games eventually come back after you. But look, they just can't score. They were abysmal at home offensively. And I think a big reason of that is the injuries and things like that. So, it's just been a really, I was talking to Bruce the other day for a story I'm writing tomorrow, and it's just been a grind from the moment the season started, it felt like.
I want to talk a little bit about Devan Dubnyk. Statistically speaking, and I didn't think he had a horrible year or anything like that, but statistically speaking, this was his worst year as a member of the Minnesota Wild. 2.56 goals against, .912 save percentage. What were your thoughts on Dubnyk this year? Too up and down?
Yeah, I think a lot like the team. Great on the road, horrible at home. Their penalty kill is absolutely god-awful, and Devin's obviously the leader of that penalty kill. He's got to make the saves. He had one of the best penalty kill save percentages in the league on the road and one of the worst at home. And it just was, to me, he encompassed really the up-and-down nature of the entire team. And then the other thing is, this team, because it has trouble scoring such degrees, when you're giving up the first goal every single night, it just comes back and haunts you. The Wild, for a while, are coming back in a lot of those games, but that pattern never stopped. And in 52 of 81 games, they've given up the first goal, and when you don't score, that eventually kills you.
I think when this season first started, you knew, like we were talking about, Eric Stahl, he wasn't going to score, obviously, 40 goals. Jason Zucker was up and down. So I think coming into the season, for me personally, I thought that in order for the Wild to make the playoffs, they needed their younger guys to really grow up fast. Eriksson Ek, Greenway, Cunnin. And I'm not saying that Greenway and Eriksson Ek didn't get better, but the bottom line is Eriksson Ek, 8 goals, 7 assists. Greenway, 12 goals, 12 assists. That's not good enough to get to the postseason. Do you agree with that?
Well, yeah, but I mean, if you were going to rely on them at the start of the year to get the Wild into the playoffs, I know you would have been totally disappointed. And these guys just aren't ready to that capability. They're not going to be, to me, consistent goal scorers in the league. And, to me, the hope is that guys like Donato and Fiala also grow up fast and start scoring. Fiala was an immense disappointment. I mean, immense, especially when you consider, again, the expectations levied upon him by Paul Fenton right when he acquired him. He called him a game breaker. He called him had Fede ad electric. And, I mean, to me, I just don't get why you would throw that upon him. And now, every time Fiala does anything wrong in a game, he gets sarcastic jabs from the fans, and justifiably so. GM should not do that. And so they have a 22, and next year's going to be the same thing. I mean, if Cunnin, Greenway, Eriksson Ek, Fiala, Donato, if these guys don't make significant impacts on next year's team, they're not going to make the playoffs either. And so we'll see. I mean, they have a lot of money to play with this summer. I'd be a little wary on that, too, because there's nobody out there in free agency right now, especially if you don't get Panarin, which I don't think they would ever get Panarin. I just don't see, how any of those free agents are going to make a significant impact without those young kids taking significant steps next year.
Now, the one positive I think I could take from this season, and look, the brutal trade for Rask for Nino obviously stands out, but the one positive was Ryan Donato. Talk about his game and how much potential he has to really be a game changer for this team.
Well, I mean, again, I don't know if that's the fact. I like that he shoots the puck, but I think he has shown here lately that he is I mean, he's got 4 goals, and hasn't scored in some time. I don't think that he's a game changer. I think he's just a shooter, and you hope that he scores a lot more than he does. But we'll see. I mean, again, he's very young. This is his first time he's playing on a consistent basis. He got bounced around the lineup ever since he got here, like everybody else. And, I do think that when the games got tough here down the stretch, he was not good. And so, they're going to need a lot more from him. They're going to need a lot more from Fiala. And we'll see if it can happen.
Last one here before we let you go, Russo. What's the future of Bruce Boudreau? I mean, I know there's a lot of fans out there that love him, including myself. I don't put this on him at all. Where do you think the Wild and Bruce stand as of right now for next year and the following? Like, what do you think of the future with Bruce?
Well, I mean, as of right now, I think he's coming back. I think Craig Leopold doesn't want to fire him. If Bruce leaves, it's going to be because Fenton either made an incredible case to Craig Leopold to let him bring in his own coach, or because Bruce doesn't want to come back. And, I do think that in exit meetings with Paul Fenton here the next week or so, Bruce and Paul need to have a good conversation, because it's clear down the stretch that the coach has been frustrated and frustrated by what the lineup, what having the lineup sort of dictated to him, and some of the changes that were made. And so, these two have to, coexist together. And, but as of this very moment, I don't see him, I'd be shocked at this point from everything I'm being told if, like, all of a sudden, by Tuesday's wrap-up day that we find out that Bruce has been fired. It would take a major shift, as of yesterday, frankly, it would take a major shift in Craig Leopold's thinking for Bruce to just get fired. But I would not go, let's put it this way, I'm not going to write a story that just says 100% he's coming back, because I do think that there are other factors involved, and one is Bruce has got to be completely comfortable that he wants to come back to this situation, because next year can be tough.
Oh, I know.
To just think that this is going to magically, this team is incapable of scoring. And to just think that this thing is going to just magically fix itself by a couple free agent pickups that I'm not sure that that they have the ability to get anyway. I just think the next year, and this is what I've cautioned fans for a long time about wanting this team to just go and rebuild. It will be painful. And I think that anybody watched this second half of this Wild season knows how painful this has been. And it's been hard to watch. It's been hard to cover. Fans are paying a fortune to come to these games to watch the team not only not win but not score. It's been ugly. So and I don't think that next year is just going to magically be better because of that.
Wow. Michael Russo, thank you so much. You can follow him on Twitter at Russo Hockey, obviously unbelievable writer. Thank you so much for everything for this season, Mike. Love reading the articles. Thank you so much for giving me the time.
Yep, anytime, Steven.
Be good.